Hello everyone, my name is Brian. I make artifacts with AI, and today I just wanted to do a more casual video and talk about AI generative art and stampers, I like to call them. For these builds, I started with the concept of having the AI create a maze stamper wherein I could click and it'll draw a coherent maze wherever I click and properly connect to whatever structure is already there. And you can see we got it working pretty well, which is pleasant to enjoy just as its own. Maybe turn it into some kind of a screensaver. But we decided to move on, make it a little more computer technical version of this. We have our menu on the side with different options available for our 2D maze stamper, various controls about the visual properties. And this one, it has a more techno look, and it's the version where you can just drag the mouse across and it'll generate on the fly. Boom, 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 boom. Just color it all in if you like. Get the reset button. Yeah, so we added the menu as well as some other maze building options. One that just draws a really big fast one right away. And other ones. But obviously the next step from a 2D maze stamper is, before you go 3D, you got to do, isometric view. So you kind of got the looking down from a hillside over the maze view. And then after you do isometric, that's of course when you move into 3D. So we created a new one, which is basically the same concept, but we're doing it in a 3D space, stamping in a coherent maze and seeing if we can get him to fill in. There's a classic problem of, are we clicking the mouse to move around, or are we adding a stamp? Which can be fixed in different ways, however you prefer, but for our purposes, the demonstration looks fine. And I suppose in this space we can just build a maze to our heart's content as it try and connects them all. Nice little complicated structure here. But, if we want to move back from maze, think about what else can we stamp in? More natural artifacts like flowers. Yeah. We must have been in a fractal mood when we went into this one, because obviously it wants to grow out in that fractal branching pattern that we do. But here we have just a nice little flower blotter, We go from a nice little maze blotter to a flower blotter. And, obviously once you get the flower blotter in, then you go full Bob Ross and you invent a Vista painter that, it doesn't give you Monet, or maybe it does. It doesn't give you Rembrandt, but it allows for the simulacrum of enjoying a nice little vista by the sea and building with AI And maybe, don't we have flowers? Yeah. Oh, that's flowers. See, a good example of not hitting the mark. We may need to go back and ask them to take a look at these flowers because they didn't do it right. But in any case, we ended up inventing a different one. So here we have similar menu system, which allows to pick a nice background before you paint your Bob Ross style. There we go. And maybe add some mountains. There we are. Flowers there. Let's clear this. Alright, so we'll add a mountain range, add a little more. There we go. See, a good example of AI just not getting it, you know? The mountains are stacking up on each top of each other for an auto feature that shouldn't do that. But we'll try another quick little... Okay, that's a little bit, I guess, slightly more believable. Maybe we can use artistic techniques to kind of hide the BS. Get a nice little forest. See how they do with the water. Water could be a little more dark. Add some, what is that, grass? Yeah. And some little flowers. We'll just zoom in. Some chunk. See it? The stupid sky that it promised is not working out. Anyway, so a maze stamper has turned into a landscape painter, I guess. But I did want to bring in a kind of the abstract side of things. Here's another build, which we'll start over here. Has different styles along the side: atomic, Bauhaus, Memphis, fractal. And then you can pull up the side to get your stamper palette. Where is it? There we go. So these are just atomic style nonsense. You know how they did it back in the day with some random stuff here and there. And, you know, we can switch to the Memphis one. It was tricky to get the computer to understand that I need the square to be a square when I stamp it, you know? I need this, what is this? A diamond to be a diamond, just like Memphis intended. Bacteria to be a bacteria squiggly line. That took some effort. But for that concept of getting the menu system working, when you're in the middle of a build, you can just take that piece of your build and work on it on the side and then integrate it back in. So when we have trouble just with the menu system, you say, hey, let's just work on the menu system and then come back later and reintegrate it back into your full project as is intended. But the best part is the auto compose feature, because who doesn't love auto compose and teaching the computer what it means to be an abstract expressionist? You know, you have to demand certain artistic qualities, and, you know, sometimes it seems to get it. I guess that's fairly close. And, of course, proper parallax option of fractal integration whenever we can. You see the Mandelbrot? Some other fractal concepts. Well, auto-compose. So, yeah, here we go. And, yeah, that's it. Basic tour of our stamping concept. Playing with the different dimensional aspects of it, making pipe maces, flower stampers. Vista architecture, cut the flowers, and just do a tree scene. Cut the flowers and just do a tree scene. Thank you. There we go. To a little bit more, tries to be more well-rounded and professional. And then finally the abstract version. But yeah, that's basically it. The evolution of a build from maze stamper to abstract art creator. Thank you again for joining, and we hope to see you again soon.